And you guys like lie all the time. You don't live a life of truth. You're very judgmental to other people. You're not good people yourself. Look in the mirror. Do you think you would want your daughter to be with you? Why'd you come here then? You weren't happy with your own country, but now you come here and talk shit about mine? Like, go f yourself. Who do you think you are? I don't want them here, to be honest. I want them gone. I want them out of here.
Liberal state which presumes itself to be the governing philosophy, the container in which all other traditions can mix and sit. They are trying to make these traditions play nice, and so they are trying to manage the perceptions of the hosts, we Westerners, of these people. And so they are trying to omit the ugly but intrinsic parts of these cultures from public knowledge, so that you don't have a negative judgment of them, because they think that our negative judgment of these people is the only thing stopping them becoming indistinguishable from us, because deep down, thanks to the blank slate, they're all exactly the same. And so they don't understand the mindset that is brought by these people that is completely incompatible and unwilling to be compatible with the way that we live in.
Hello, it's September 2025. Now, over the years, one of the primary topics that I focus on has been wrongful convictions, and highlighting, for example, how this has a devastating effect not only on the individual falsely accused and wrongfully convicted, but their friends and families as well. And this impacts society overall. And this is a foundation of, as a descriptive, larger tyrannies that impact everyone. And I've said, if this is going to be stopped, for example, this tyranny that is impacting everyone, for example, things being imposed on a whole nation, regardless of what country you're in, you have to go to the foundation. And this is the foundation. And I've highlighted as well how, and this is being talked about by people all around the world. I'm going to be focusing on the Western countries, how people are talking about a two-tiered system. Now we see, for example, how very wealthy elite types are treated differently in the justice system, and even when they are convicted and they have to serve a sentence, they have their own prisons, which is really like a vacation because it has all the amenities of a vacation. They're free to come and go shopping, do whatever they want. Basically, they sleep at night and they have everything that they need and everything's so relaxed. But we see this happening. We also see, for example, how with various positions of authority, how these people have a bias in their favor as not to be held accountable. And this is for many different reasons. Now, one of the things that people are really upset about is how certain demographics are being treated differently in the courts. These people come to, for example, a Western country and they do things and get away with it. And there's so many stories. Now, I'm just going to pause here for a moment. I've highlighted how a lot of people, whether they do it intentionally or not, rage bait people and keep promoting and pushing a narrative, thinking that they're perhaps doing some good by saying, look at all these examples of injustice. Now, we have to keep that in mind, that there's this rage baiting going on. However, it doesn't change the fact that there's some truth to this. what they're trying to share with the world. So we have people coming into Western countries. I'm not saying legal or illegal, it doesn't really matter, and deliberately, sometimes even accidentally, committing horrific crimes. And they are treated completely different than, for example, people who are in that country already, perhaps even generational. Now, what's really interesting is we see this two-tier system with feminism, females, women, and men. But now this is starting to backfire on them as well, because they're getting the brunt of the injustice that, for example, men in the Western culture have been experiencing by them as well as everyone else. So we have these people now who do these things, and at worst they get a slap on the wrist compared to someone born and raised in that culture, in that country. And this is really starting to build up this anger, and you can see it. Keep in mind, I want to reiterate, there's something called rage baiting, and this video is not about that, because what I'm trying to do and explain here is that this injustice that, for example, with these people coming into the Western cultures, nations, the treatment that they're receiving is the same treatment that's been going on by people within their own cultures and their own nations. But now it's backfiring on them. And that's really my point here. Not so much how these people are coming in, doing things, and getting away with it, as much as we have to stop and go back, trace it back to what's the cause. Because it's the cause, the foundation of what injustices that now everyone's observing. It's the foundations that have set the stage. But no one really seems to care. And I've said, it seems like people don't care because they perceive an injustice to an individual, say wrongful conviction, as well, that's bad, you know, but it has nothing to do with them. It does. And we see this now, because this type of false accusations and wrongful convictions are now being imposed on the very people, for example, who've been doing this to others within the culture, Western culture and nations. Are you starting to understand what I've been trying to say for a very long time? That there's, I'm going to use as a loose descriptive, favoritism, depending on the flavor of the day, to groups of people. I'll give you another example, kind of off topic, but it also paints a picture. So you have, for example, feminism, saying men and women are equal across the board, and they're really pushing equal outcome over equal opportunity, which has been devastating in itself. But where this whole concept now has come back and bitten them on the butt is other groups who live in a make-believe world in their own minds are now saying that, yes, they're a woman, they're a woman, for example, and they want to compete against women, giving them the unfair advantage. And now feminism is starting to see, well, wait a second, they're trying to pull back. They're backtracking, trying to say, no, this has gone too far. But they're the ones that had set the stage for everything with regards to all that. So that's really just an example of how the PSYOP that had everyone turning on themselves within a culture, within a nation, is now coming back on them. For example, with people coming into their country doing the same thing to them. But people really can't grasp that. People are only looking at the symptoms and not the cause. And you can't fix the symptoms without addressing the cause. It's no different than, for example, you have a pain. You go to the doctor. And the doctor is looking at the pain, but not looking at what's causing that pain. There's an old joke I remember I heard from adults when I was a kid. A guy goes to the doctor's office and says, "Hey, doc, it hurts when I raise my hand over my head." The doctor says, "Well, don't raise your hand over your head. Problem solved." This, what we're experiencing with society, the commoner, is just that. It's not working. And it's unfortunate now that a lot of these people who are coming into the Western culture and the Western countries, they're good people. They're going by the book. They're not breaking laws. They're doing what they can. And even when you talk to them, they're getting fed up, even with their own people who, as a descriptive, behave badly. And they're seeing it as well. And it could even be something as simple as driving habits and everything else. But what's sad is they're being bunched into with everyone else who are doing bad things. And there's a lot of tension building up. And you do have, whether it be a large number or a small number, doesn't matter, of these people coming into the West going crazy and being disrespectful and even wanting to take over. And I've discussed this in other videos where they're doing this because they've been taught lies about the Western civilization. And they don't want to hear anything else because this is what they were taught. Just like anything else, we see even within the Western civilization, people are told lies about something, anything, and they just go with it. And you can't break that spell. We'll call it a spell. I'm going to end off by talking about how everything that's being imposed, you can call a spell being imposed, not just things being imposed on people to do something or not to do something, but how they think. It's being imposed. I've talked in previous videos about so-called free will, because when you think that you're making your own decision, your own choice, you're basing that on your limited knowledge base. And that limited knowledge base has been told to you. And people gravitate towards something that resonates with them. And yeah, I'm using that word. I don't like using that word. But anyway. But to sum this all up, all what we're seeing today has been building up, and everyone's ignoring the foundation of the hardships that everyone all around the world are experiencing. And even the people coming here properly and are good, decent people are saying they're having the same problems in their country with people coming from other nations causing havoc. So this is not isolated with the Western civilization. All around the world, all across the world, we see this happening. And that is very telling. And if you can't see past your own city, your own province or state, your own country, well, then you're part of the problem. Look at the big picture, and you'll have some answers. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
The fastest pathway to destroy your results in sales, influence, intelligence operations is viewing the world through a hierarchical lens. So like I walk into a room and the first thing I do is, who's in charge, who's above me, am I better than that guy? Oh, he's wearing that fancy sweater vest from that one country club. He probably makes this much money, that's twice my income. All of that kind of thinking will destroy your results. You treat the waiter at a restaurant the exact same as you do a CEO. If you treat everyone the same, no matter what, you don't show deference to anybody, you're just a good person all around. You stop seeing the world in hierarchical thinking.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.